Senator Graham.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What would be odd in this committee is for us all not to vote against the Supreme Court nominee, since Gorsuch anyway. So Gorsuch, Alito, Amy Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, not one vote. About this hearing, Judge Jackson has got a lot to be proud of. She's accomplished a lot in her life. She's a good person. I'm sure she's a great mother and very gifted person. She's fought hard to be where she's at in life. I'll vote no. I'm the first time I've ever voted against any Supreme Court nominee. Let me tell you how I got there. Number one, the Supreme Court is different than the Circuit Court. I voted for her at the D.C. Circuit Court level because I'm disposed to do that. And I'm playing a game that very few people play anymore, that if you win an election, I expect you to pick somebody I wouldn't support on the court. That just sort of comes with winning. So I didn't think twice about not voting for her. But now that you're talking about the Supreme Court, you're making policy, not just bound by it. And a lot of my friends on the other side have done this, voted for a person at the district court level, the circuit court level, only to vote no at the Supreme Court level. This nomination had a political moment. President Biden can choose anybody he wants. That comes with winning. He had a lot of qualified African-American women to choose from. To me, saying up front during the election, I'm going to pick a qualified African-American woman is fine. Our folks have done that. Didn't bother me that much. It was trying to make the court look more like America. So he has a political decision he made. I respected that. Now, all of us are in politics over here. Again, I'm inclined to vote for judges of the other side. But this choice of Judge Jackson was really embraced by the most radical people in the Democratic movement, to the exclusion of everybody else. After 4 days of hearings, I now know why the left likes her so much. It became obvious to me why she was their first and apparently only choice. So there are people that President Biden could have picked that would have been in the liberal camp in terms of voting on the Supreme Court, and they could have gotten 60 to 65 votes. The White House didn't go down that road because it feels that they must pick somebody that's more appealing to the hard left. They made that choice, and we'll see how it plays out. So why am I voting no? On our side, we like judges to be bound by the written letter of the law. The immigration case that got to be sort of famous here, let's see, what was it? Make the Road, New York et al. Versus McAleen, was a decision by President Trump and his team to fully utilize expedited removal procedures within the statutory authority granted by Congress. You couldn't have written this thing more clear that it's in the sole and unreviewable discretion of the Secretary to use expedited deportation involving people who've been here 2 years or less. Judge Jackson ruled for the Arabella-funded, supported plaintiff. I think this was probably a tryout for her. And she was overruled by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, not exactly the bastion of conservatism. There could hardly be a more definitive expression of congressional intent to lead the decision about the scope of expedited removal within statutory bounds to the Secretary's independent judgment. The forceful phrase, sole and unreviewable discretion by its exceptional terms, heralds Congress's judgment to commit the decision exclusively to agencies' discretion. Well, she took the plain meaning of the statute, set it aside, did legal gymnastics to basically issue a temporary injunction. That, to me, says everything I need to know about how she's going to govern. She wants the outcome, she's going to find it. She's going to get it. Activist to the core. The child pornography cases. Didn't know much about it until we sort of had the hearing. About the way I questioned her, I found if I'd left it up to her, I'd have gotten one answer in 30 minutes. So I don't know how you question witnesses. I interrupt when I think they're being evasive. I let them talk when I think they're answering the question. But this hearing is coming to an end. If you compare this to Kavanaugh, you've missed a lot. I've never complained about Kavanaugh or anybody else being asked a hard question. I have complained about their lives being destroyed by a coordinated effort of Democrats and the mainstream media trying to destroy somebody to keep the seat open. That didn't happen here. So I found her completely evasive. But when you did dig into it, after a lot of digging, I found out something that was astonishing. In the area of child pornography cases, it's not so much that she is out of sync with the average sentence, which she is, and Senator Cruz, you did a great job proving that. Senator Hawley, you dug into her philosophy about how you sentence somebody, and I'm glad you did. What I found was that she routinely sets aside 2 enhancement factors when it comes to increasing sentence. She will not, as a general policy disagreement with respect to these 2 enhancements, that is computers and the number of images. She does not hold that against the defendant, the perpetrator. I couldn't disagree more. And if you're a judge out there coming before this committee and you want to get promoted, you have this philosophy, you're going to run into a problem with me. There are 85 million images of children being exploited on the internet. The statute was written to deal with mail, where child pornographers would mail images of children. Along comes the internet, as she said. Now it's so easy in the confines of your office or your home to hit a button and download hundreds, if not thousands, of images, and she felt like that would be unfair to the defendant. I don't. Every time you hit a button downloading an image of a child being sexually abused, I want you to go to jail longer, because every time you hit a button, you're destroying a life. I think she's got this completely backwards. I think you should be enhancing the sentence. The more you download, the more you go to jail. And if you don't do that, we're never going to get this right. And she doesn't hold it against the defendant to go to the venue of choice. I want to deter people from going to the internet and downloading a bunch of child porn by putting them in jail longer, not less. The fact that she took those 2 sentencing enhancements off the table because she thought it'd be unfair to the defendant because it's so easy, to me, she just lost me completely in this area. I'm not suggesting she likes what's happening in child pornography. She's not offended. I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's seen a lot of things that offends her, but she's a judge. She has a chance to deter the crime. She has a chance to impose a sentence that would deter it, and she chose not to. I think that is a terribly bad choice. And this committee, if anything comes out of this hearing constructively, is that we will pass a law changing that so every judge has to hold it against a child pornographer. The more you download, the longer you go to jail should be the rule. And we should insist that using the internet is a bad thing in child pornography, not a neutral thing. So I'll like to work with my colleagues on both sides to do that. Now, about her being the first African-American nominee before this committee of the Supreme Court, that's true. And the reason that's true is because of what y'all did to Janice Rogers Brown. The only reason that's true is because my Democratic colleagues back in 2005 filibustered for 2 years, 2003 to 5, Janice Rogers Brown, a Supreme Court justice from the state of California that was picked by President Bush to be on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeal, the same court that I voted for Judge Jackson. It's kind of a one level below the Supreme Court. And for 2 years, there was a wholesale filibuster of her. And when it got to be possible for her to be on the Supreme Court as a possibility, then Senator Biden said she would be filibustered. Senator Durbin, Senator Schumer, all filibustered her and told this body that if you pick her, she's likely to be filibustered. That's why Judge Jackson is the first African-American nominee to come before this body to be on the Supreme Court, because you made it that way. Because when you had a chance to support an African-American conservative, you used her ideology against her. You blocked her from being considered by this committee, and we're supposed to be like trained seals over here clapping when you appoint a liberal. That's not going to work. We live in America today where your ideology is held against you if you're a conservative, and when you're a liberal, we're supposed to embrace everything about you and not ask hard questions. That's not the world we're going to live in. And I'll say this, if we get back the Senate and we're in charge of this body, and there's judicial openings, we will talk to our colleagues on the other side, but if we're in charge, she would not have been before this committee. You would have had somebody more moderate than this. So I want you to know right now, the process you started to go to a simple majority vote is going to rear its head here pretty soon, where we're in charge. Then we'll talk about judges differently.